Welcome back, everybody. This is United vs. Everybody. I am your host, Sean. We're here tonight with a little bit of a Manchester United news roundup, transfer talk, and just anything and everything United related as we head into January transfer window. The January transfer window is in full swing now. It is the 4th of January. I say full swing, but the winter market tends to be just a little bit quieter than the summer market, as we all know. Last year, again, was like the lowest amount of money spent for a long time, and a lot of that had to do with clubs catching up with being hit with lockdowns from COVID, but then also PSR FFP has been really clamping down a lot, so not a whole lot of spending last January, and so far it's been quiet all around this window as well. Mind you, again, it's only the 4th, so still some time, but the rumors are rumoring, and I've compiled some United related chatter for you guys tonight, so you guys don't have to look around and cross vet and stuff. I've done all that work for you. We are going to talk about all that tonight on a short little transfer stream, news, whatnot. So we're going to go over transfers, United news. I'm not going to take up too much of your time. Osimhen already jumping in. Good to see you again, Osimhen. Hope you are doing well, my friend. Hopefully it is warmer for you than it is for me, because it has been in the 20s all week for me. It's been a crazy, crazy cold week. It's winter here in Michigan. It is very, very, very cold, and my dogs hate it because it's too cold for my dogs to go out and go for long walks. We have to go for very short walks when the sun is out. But good to see you, Slash, as well. Welcome back, everyone. So I'm starting to maybe workshop some of this news shows now that the channel is, you guys are getting more involved. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to have time to split these videos up, between like match previews or match reactions and the news, maybe do 2 shows, because the news is taking up a big portion of some of these videos, which is fine for me. I'm just trying to look out for you all. So you guys let me know how you doing. Usman says, Sean, is it snowing where I am? It's been kind of snowing on and off for the last couple of days here. Not much of it is sticking, but it is very, very, very cold. It's so cold that it's almost like the snow is like, no, F that. I don't want to fall right now. Too cold. But so we're here today to talk transfer news. Like the video, subscribe if you are new to the channel, hit that bell if you don't want to miss any of the news, especially during a busy transfer window, hopefully a busy transfer window. So you guys can get all your latest and greatest right here. Let's get stuck in, starting with a little bit of news here. So regarding the match tomorrow, so obviously we did the match preview yesterday, United's trip to Anfield to face Liverpool, big match of the season. Quick update, though, because a bit of news that could actually impact tomorrow's match. So I haven't checked it like within a couple minutes. I checked it like an hour ago, but so far nothing has changed. But there is a possibility that the match could be postponed. So it's being reported that the weather forecast for tomorrow in Merseyside is not looking great, which means the kickoff forecast is not looking great. And while it wouldn't be too rough for the match to be played in terms of on the pitch, the concern is for the traveling conditions for the fans going to and from the grounds, driving especially. I guess it's just going to be really bad. So we'll keep an eye on that one, see if anything develops, but it does look like there's still a chance that the match itself could be postponed. I know a lot of United fans out there are already like, yes, push that back. We can wait to revisit that when we get stronger side. This is the thing. I'm of the belief that, like, this is what bugged me about Arsenal's situation during COVID, when they had all these players that they reported to be sick and stuff, and they got like 4 matches postponed. I think that you should, when you replay that match, you should, like, if you bought players in January, you shouldn't be able to play those players. Anybody who was deemed fit at the time should be allowed. I just don't like all that kind of stuff, but it is Slash. Scousers are getting a slap. I mean, they might be getting slapped by the weather from what it sounds like. Positive thoughts. Yeah, you Lionheart's keeping the positivity train rolling on, man, because there's not a whole lot of that going on right now at United. I will admit, hold my hands up, I have contributed to the pessimism, the negativity. It's not that I'm like, it's just the players. It's just the players and what we've seen that kill any sort of optimism for me. Like, it's hard for me to find faith and hope based on what I've seen right now. But you guys let me know. So Could the match be called off? If anybody is closer to Merseyside or in the UK, let me know. Hopefully, I've checked the weather for when I'm going to be there in a couple weeks, and it's looking like it's not going to be too bad. High 40s, a little cloudy, a little rainy, which I can handle. I don't mind that. So I just need to bring a rain jacket and maybe some sinus medicine because my sinuses hate that kind of weather. I love the weather, my sinuses don't. So you guys let me know if you've seen any updates, but for right now, there is a chance that the match could get called off tomorrow because of inclement weather for traveling conditions. So moving on. I don't know if you've seen it yet. It was out there today. It was published today, but there's an excellent piece in the Telegraph from James Ducker. I got a lot of time for James Ducker. In the piece, it was a simple little op-ed piece, but it was shining a bit of light on, and almost as a reminder for a lot of us, of the situation that the Glazers, Ed Woodward, Murtaugh, Richard Arnold, all these guys have put us in, and really the situation that Sir Jim and Ineos inherited. Yes, they knowingly inherited, they know that, but they still inherited it nonetheless. So I've highlighted some of it for you. Let me see what Slash is saying here. Haven't heard anything about it being canceled over here. Yeah, there's just a lot of talk going on today that the weather forecast is not looking good. So we'll see what happens. But just wanted to put that out there for you all. So let me show you a little bit of the highlights from what James Ducker had to say. So we're all kind of reminded of what it is we're dealing with here. So on the Glazers, Ducker says they purchased United on a highly leveraged, hostile takeover 20 years ago and then loaded much of the cost of funding that buyout onto the club. So again, you bought something on debt, on credit, and you just leveraged all that debt onto the club itself, not yourself. This is why new owners inherit it, because they put it onto the club and not themselves. It's very ridiculous. I always pull this book down. I should have put it down earlier, but I highly suggest picking up this book if you get a chance. The World's Biggest Cash Machine by Chris Blackhurst. All about the Glazers takeover, how they got the club. A little bit of history about the Glazers as well, where they kind of started and everything. But this just came out probably about 6-7 months ago. Go check that book out. Very good book. Ducker goes on. To date, £815 million has been sucked out of the club in interest payments. That's just in interest payments on the debt. Money that would now go a long way towards solving our stadium problems. The Class B shares, which the Glazers owned outright. Now, again, there's different shares, different levels of share. Now, Class A sounds nice, right? That sounds like the better shares. It's not. The Class B shares are the ones that the owners have and the Glazers have, and they give you the decision-making power. Class A shares, they're not really anything, really. It says the Class B shares, which the Glazers own outright, had 10 times the voting power of the Class A shares, like I said, sold to the public. So the public gets those Class A shares, but they don't really get a whole lot of say. So this meant that United's owners would periodically be able to sell Class A shares without giving up control. Yes, it's basically just like a little like gift shop version of a share. Like, here you go, own a piece of United. You don't really. All you really do is get to say, like, I own shares in United. You don't really do anything from it. All told, says Ducker, they'd raised £465 million for their personal coffers doing just that, on top of pocketing around $150 million in dividends. So again, we all know the word dividend. We're all very familiar with it here at United. It is a 4-letter word as far as I'm concerned, but we know that that's what's happened. And Ducker says, Ratcliffe may be facing his own challenges, but the position the team now find themselves in has not happened overnight. Again, we've said this many times. This is a culmination of nearly 2 decades of the way the club was run, on top of the way the club was purchased. Purchase being, would have to mean that there's money changing hands. No, there wasn't. He says it is the consequence of years of mismanagement. Again, like Barcelona, poor decision-making, lofty spending way above your means. This is what happens. Old Trafford's demise is not a new thing. Its neglect spans 2 decades. And he's right. We all know this. It's just a shame that this is the situation that we find ourselves in the situation that Ineos have inherited. I'm going to take that off the screen now. And again, if you couldn't see the little thing, I put it up there before. World's Biggest Cash Machine, Manchester United, the Glazers, and the Struggle for Football Soul by Chris Blackhurst. Very, very good book. I read it. Very good. There's a lot of, as you can tell. And again, one day I'll do a stream on some of the books I have. Really, the ones that I think you all should check out at some point. I know not everyone's a reader, but it is good to check it out. Lionheart says, a slap with a leather glove. I challenge you sir. I keep rearranging. This chair is really uncomfortable. I really need to get a new chair. Box, good to see you, Box. How are you, my friend? Always a pleasure. We were just chatting a little bit about some news. Just got started, really. We Box, if anyone is in the UK and has a little bit more update on the weather tomorrow, let us know. Lionhearts, good evening, Sean and all your Reds. Good evening, Lionhearts. Good to see you, my friend. Dark Crow, I didn't even see you pop up there, man. How are you, Dark Crow? Good to see you. Lionhearts, you've got a positivity partner up there in Slash. He is trying to manifest the positivity as far as the match goes tomorrow. So in this article, Ducker goes on to remind everyone that the Glazers have really just shifted all the spotlight, all the responsibility, all the negativity onto Sir Jim. They're still getting a lot of the power, but they're taking zero of the PR, the negative PR, because they don't have to anymore. Sir Jim is a shield, and I know we've used that many times as a stick to beat like Sir Jim with, but really what it means is the Glazers are protected from all that because now they have a new face at the head of the organization while they patiently wait for the day when they just get paid again. That's basically what they're doing. I encourage you to go check out the James Ducker's article. I encourage you all to read more than just the tweets. I'm not saying you only read the tweets. I'm just saying in general, I would encourage anybody, read more than the tweets, whether it's football, politics, science, whatever it is, read more than tweets and things like that. And before you sharpen the knives and start calling me a Glazer or a Sir Jim apologist, I'm not. I'm just as angry as the Glazers as you. We've talked about it many, many times. I've got several books back here. I've read many things. I've written many things at Stretty News about the Glazers and whatnot. My hatred for the Glazers and what they've done to this club is well documented. But again, Sir Jim is just like someone who married a person who has tons of debt, credit card debt, neglected their house, neglected keeping up with the car. Now they have to go ahead and be responsible for all that. So I'm not an apologist. I'm just trying to maintain context because you guys know how I feel about context because the media aren't going to maintain context. So, Rob, good to see you, my friend Rob. How are you, my friend? Snow has started in Wales. Yeah, we were just talking a little bit about the weather and whether or not that's going to keep the match from going on tomorrow. I've seen a lot of stuff coming out today already online that the match could get postponed. So you guys let me know. Just putting it out there as a possibility. Lionheart says, "Come on, United. We gotta have the balance of positivity. I'm all for that. So again, good job, guys. Keep that red flag flying high, right? So on to a bit of transfer news because obviously rumor is gonna rumor, transfer news is gonna transfer news. It's all popping off already. Most of it centered around United's striking department. It's a little bit of outgoing, a little bit of incoming, as you guys saw from the thumbnail. So regarding Marcus Rashford, he seems to be a popular target among Italian clubs, whether it's Napoli, AC Milan we'll talk about. We're going to talk about the Napoli Osimhen situation here in a second, but there's a rumor that popped up this afternoon linking Rashford with a move to AC Milan. So this is coming from Spanish outlet Relevo and specifically journalist Matteo Moretto, who we've spoken with, not spoken with, but we've spoken about on the channel. I've seen him featured on like Muppeteers and whatnot. I think I've even seen him featured on like ESPN FC sometimes. So decently credible journalist. He's reporting that United have actually offered Rashford to Milan with a loan and obligation or an option to buy. The success of the deal will depend on how much of the salary Manchester United is willing to cover. Moretto goes on to say Milan's situation changed after the club sacked manager Paulo Fonseca on Monday. So remember, they just sacked their new manager. The manager just joined. They already sacked him, and they appointed Sergio Conceição, formerly of FC Porto. So new manager, new system, new situation, new ideas. We know that Ibrahimovic, remember him, he retired at AC Milan. He is basically like a big head honcho over there. He kind of is in charge of, has major input in terms of the sporting department and those kind of things go. So maybe that's something to do with it. I feel like AC Milan are pretty stacked in that position. They've got Rafael Leao. They've got Okafor, who they just signed not that long ago. The young kid, I think his name is Jimenez, filled in the other day in the Supercoppa Italia, did pretty well. I just don't see how Rashford fits in that system with all these other attackers. I mean, it's never a bad thing to have that many attackers. I do think he'd be a good fit. He's very similar to Rafael Leao, but why do you need two? We'll watch this one, of course, but Box says he'd rather play tomorrow. Just get it over with, right? just like quick like a Band-Aid. Just boom and let's move on. Box says, imagine it's rescheduled for April time and they beat us to officially win the league. I mean, they're going to beat us anyway, whether they do it now or then, right? It's just timing at that point. But Who knows? Maybe we'll be better by April. Maybe Amorim will have had time to get his system in place. The players will get a little more used to it. Maybe, who knows? Maybe we'll get new players by that point either. Who knows? I'm not one of these fans who's saying I hope so. I'm just saying it's a possibility. But you always want to get an edge. Managers always want, whether it's shortening your pitch by a few inches either side, whether it's keeping the grass long, not watering it against certain opponents. Like we've seen that happen. You always want a little bit of an edge. It's marginal gains, right? Sticking with Rashford, again, Italy, very popular. There are reports this weekend that Napoli are actually showing an interest in Marcus Rashford and could be willing to offer Victor Osimhen to Manchester United to help smooth the way for Rashford's arrival in a swap deal. Now, that was being discussed on TalkSport. What's going on here? Sean Lionhearts, how are you, my friend? According to a few outlets, Antonio Conte is actually a fan of Marcus Rashford. And who knows, maybe a reunion with McTominay, a reunion with Lukaku could be fun, maybe, in Italy. McTominay, I think, just scored again today. I've seen a lot of people out there like, why did we sell McTominay? McTominay was sold because we needed money and he was all profit. It just is what it is. Not every player, just because you go and do well at another club, like Roy Keane said, I think Roy Keane said it recently, just because you do well at another club doesn't mean you're good enough for United. It just is what it is. I think many managers would give their left arm for 11 players on the pitch with what McTominay brings in terms of determination and fight and passion. He just couldn't cut it sometimes. He scored some great goals for us. I have nothing personal against McTominay, but different systems, different leagues, different coaches, different teammates, it's all going to play a role in this. It's not just he's doing good there, he's not doing. We've seen it happen time and time again. But I mean, if Rashford's too ill to train, he's too ill to travel to Italy, in my opinion. When I was younger and I was sick and got to stay home from school, the rule was that I was too sick to do anything else. So I don't know. Sticking with Osimhen though. What we got here? Temiscan Deliso. Nice to see you. New face. Welcome to the channel. United, I want Danny Olmo, Nico Williams, Osimhen, Ederson, Anthony Robertson, Nuno Mendes, Kirkes to United is better. Yeah, those are a lot of good names. A lot of whom we've been linked with. I think Arsenal were looking at Nico Williams last time I checked because I think they do need to improve on Gabriel Martinelli. But welcome to the channel, my friend. Lionhearts is sticking to his 2-1. Enough of this defeat is 2-1 United. Trust me. I'm starting to think you're KG, the comedian in disguise, Lionhearts. But yeah, we don't forget, and we will absolutely, Lionhearts, if the game goes on and we win 2-1, or we just win, period, Lionhearts, I will give you your flowers, my friend. We will make sure to. I will even put it in the title and the thumbnail. Lionhearts was right. You can clip that up now. I will put it in the thumbnail. Lionhearts was right. Watch this space. Sticking with Osimhen, there were reports. Again, not saying they're all 100% liable. Reports. We're here to talk transfer news. That a source within Victor Osimhen's camp, his representatives, there was a source that claimed, and I quote, "Victor will move. He may wear the red colors in England. There are moves already, and it is what he wants." Now, red colors, if true, red colors is pretty vague. Arsenal need a striker. They've been linked to Osimhen in the past. You'd think maybe Liverpool might want to replace some of their strike force. We'll see. I'm still not sold on Osimhen, not because of quality. Like, he's a good age. I think he brings experience. He's very clinical. I like what he does. But it's just some of the issues that surrounding the way he left Galatasaray and the way all that went down rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. I'm not saying people can't change. I wouldn't have a job as a therapist if people couldn't change, right? That's just the way it is. But the fact that also no big clubs are in for him as well, no big clubs are willing to pay that. I mean, Bayern paid 100 mil for a 30-year-old Harry Kane. Nobody wanted to go in for Osimhen. It's a little concerning. So he's on 160K a week right now. So it would probably take upwards of 250K a week to bring him to United. So again, that plays a role as well. We do still have finances to deal with. So you guys let me know. Are you sold on Osimhen? Would you bring him in a heartbeat? Let me know what you think. Box says every club should have a Saudi transfer wild card per season. Could have forced Rashford out. I mean, there's this. Do you guys hear that? There's this person. I don't know who it is. They drive by every day almost, and they beep their horn. I don't know why they do it, but my wife calls it honky mix honks a lot because she's very creative. I love my wife. He just drove by. I don't know if you guys could hear that or not. Yeah, the Saudi league, it would be great if United could get some of that Saudi money, right? The problem is the Saudi league up until this past season had a limitation. Well, they still have a limitation on foreign players, and they just increased it this past season to get like two more. And not every club in the Saudi league is as loaded as Al Ittihad, Al Nasser, these guys. And I think some of them still have to sell some of them because they went hard in the paint. They brought a bunch of foreign players in, and now they've got to start selling some of them. So I know Al Nasser are selling Anderson Talisca, so that clears up a spot. So we've seen Casemiro linked with them as well. I think Ronaldo is probably going to be leaving them as soon, so they're going to be without a couple of big players. But you guys let me know your thoughts on Osimhen. I like Osimhen as a player in terms of what he brings on the pitch. It's just the off the pitch stuff. And quite frankly, as a United fan, I'm really tired of the off the pitch stuff. I'm tired of the Ronaldo situations, the Sancho situations, the Rashford, the Garnacho. I'm tired of all the drama. Maybe I'm just old. Maybe I'm just tired of it because we've dealt with it for so long. Just in the last couple of years alone, if you look back, one of my first videos was like all of what Ten Hag had to deal with. That was just Ten Hag alone in his first two seasons. Like, that is crazy, the circus that we've been for a while now. But moving on, sticking with strikers, though. Lionheart says, I agree with you. I worry about Osimhen's attitude. My fear is that it could just become the Osimhen. So, I mean, and that's just what I want to avoid. I think from now on, Lionhearts, what I'd like us to do is not only, we want good players. We want players who are hungry, right? Maybe a mix of these experienced players like your Edersons or somebody, and then like your young guys like your Mastantuonos, your Nipons. But what I want is players who have the mentality, who are going to be here to play, who are going to be hungry, who are going to put in 110%. I don't want these players who are going to down tools when things aren't going their way, who can't handle a bit of criticism, like who aren't going to have good discernment, wise decision making, good people around them to kind of be a good influence off the pitch. I'm tired of it. We saw it with Pogba too, and I'm not trying to hate on Pogba, but it was just unnecessary drama, and I'm just so tired of it. I'm ready to move on. So from one United attacker to another, coming from Gazzetto dello Sport via MUFC MPB, Joshua Zirkzee has reportedly said yes to joining Juventus. All that's left is a deal to be made with United. Talks continued yesterday, according to the source that's coming from, like I said, MUFC MPB via Gazzetto dello Sport and Forza Juve. Zirkzee is such an odd situation because we've seen Ineos quickly pull the trigger on some of these situations, like Dan Ashworth. They quickly pulled the trigger on their Ten Hag decision. Would they really make the call on Zirkzee just 6 months into his United career? Different managers right now is the X factor for me in this one. Different managers is why I feel a little bit like this could happen, because he wasn't signed under Ruben Amorim. He was signed under Ten Hag. Clearly something's just not clicking. I don't know at this point of Zirkzee if being here longer, if another 6 months, another year is going to be enough for him. I just don't see. It's not even just that I don't see him in United. I don't see him working in the Premier League personally. Now I know I've said many times that speed's not a factor. And it isn't the 100% factor for me, but it's more about speed of thought. Can you keep up with the pace of the league, not with your legs, but with your mind? And what are you doing with the ball when it's actually at your feet? And as of right now, I haven't seen enough from Zirkzee. Teresa Carrera Ferreira, welcome back. Good to see you. Hi, all. I doubt it will happen. Mendes is a better option. I like Mendes if you just look at the way he plays. The only concern I've ever had with Mendes has been the injury record, because we don't tend to do well with injury-prone players. He missed nearly an entire season not that long ago with hamstring issues. And we know all about hamstrings. I think we've all become physios at United in the last couple of years. Everyone's Googling, everyone's looking up. I've looked up the long-term prognosis with hamstrings and some of the issues like with Mason Mount and whatnot. We've all become little mini experts on this. I have no problem with Mendes. He looked good when I watched him again. It's just the fitness issues. Hi, Danny. How are you, my friend? Good to see you again. As always, got a little treat for you later on, Danny. So let me guys know what you think on Zirkzee potentially joining Juve. We saw some reports on that today. Would you stick around? Do you like Zirkzee? Again, with me right now, we are at a place where anyone we let go, we have to replace. It just is what it is. This is the state of the squad at this point. Players, they weren't fitting, whether their bodies, whether they're good or whatever, they fit, they don't. We need to replace them. So Teresa says if Amorim likes him, he'll probably let him go on loan with an option to buy. Who are you talking about? Talking about Zirkzee? Lionheart says, look, when Ibra came to United, there was a bit of, I can't see what that is, circus around Ibrahimovic, but he was a good team player. Ibrahimovic was a great player for us. Again, though, it was one of those, it was during the whole dark time where United just kept signing like these older strikers. I'm not trying to diss Ibrahimovic. It says more about the club than the player, right? It was Igalo, Falcao, Cavani, Ronaldo, Ibrahimovic, Veghorst. I'm sure somebody can name a couple more. It was just like, why are we doing this? I think Lukaku was like the first prime age striker we'd bought in a while. Even Van Persie was 28, 29 when we bought him. It's just like, that's who we were. And while they did really well, Van Persie did very well, and Ibrahimovic, I mean, how many goals did Ibrahimovic have in all comps his first season? I mean, I have nothing wrong with that. So, Teresa, yeah, Zirkzee. Yeah, so we've got a lot of older strikers. I wish it would have worked out with Cavani box, because I think Cavani is exactly the kind of player that Erasmus could use right now. Working with him, I think that signing Ronaldo kind of hurt a lot of that. I think it ruined a lot of things. Not blaming Ronaldo for the signing. It's the way our club is run. It's just the way it is. Yeah, we tried to get the Galacticos, but I think it was a matter of like the Glazers and Woodward just wanting to look like we were good by buying these players, right? But yeah, Zirkzee, who knows what's going to happen? But one more for the striker position before we move on. So this is coming from United exclusive via Super Deporte, which is a Valencia-based outlet. Ruben Amorim reportedly wants to sign Gyökeres for United this month in January, which would then break his non-aggression pact with Sporting. Don't see this one happen. While I do think Ruben Amorim would jump at the chance to bring Gyökeres to United, and while I do think a return to English football would be a smooth transition for Gyökeres, and while his age and his quality are exactly what we need right now and really could benefit Højlund as well, I think Højlund can learn a lot from Gyökeres, I just don't see this happening in January. Sporting are in a bit of a free fall at the moment. They haven't quite recovered from losing Amorim the way they did. Maybe the hope was that they were already in a really good spot and they were really in a good momentum, that maybe they could just keep it going. It just hasn't worked out that way. So we'll see. I don't see it happening in January, though. We'd have to do something spectacular to make that happen in January. And I think I've read that he could be available for as little as like 60 some odd million pounds. But we don't have the money for that. And we'd have to see somebody go. Like, I don't know what his wages are at Sporting. If someone let me know, that would be appreciated, but I just don't know. So moving on a little bit to some players that United are looking at as well. So this is coming from Rudy Galletti. He reports that United have made inquiries about Inter Milan midfielder David Fratesi. Newcastle and Roma are also interested, with Roma reportedly also being able to offer Pellegrini in a swap deal, is what I've read. Apparently Inter value Fratesi at 50 million euros. That's a pretty steep price. But there are also reports that Fratesi wants to leave Inter as well. Like, he just wants to leave the club. I've read reports that he wants to go to Roma. It's really hard to get Italian players out of Serie A. They do tend to like to stick to Italy, unless they're trying to outrun gambling charges. Tonali. But I haven't watched enough of Fratesi since he's been at Inter to see how he's been doing. I know he's very highly rated the last couple of years. If true, it's kind of in that similar mold, that midfielder that we've been looking at, that Ederson, that similar age profile, which I think we do need in midfield. I think we need some experience. I know he's very good on the ball in terms of carrying the ball and getting into advanced positions. So maybe to partner Ugarte a little bit to be more of that creative, attacking-minded, advanced midfielder in the pivot could be good. Lionheart says Semenyo would be a decent purchase, in my opinion. I think Bournemouth this summer are going to be interesting situation. I wonder how many of their players they're going to be able to hold on to, and I wonder if they're going to be able to hold on to their manager, because he's a very good manager. We're going to see what happens. Teresa says, I agree. He will wait for the summer. Doubt he'd ruin the success he achieved. And Danny's laughing at me because of Tonali. God bless him. I loved Tonali when he was at Sampdoria. I loved it when he was. I think Tonali is one of the best midfielders I've seen play the game in a very long time. And obviously he's doing very, very well at Newcastle. I just was watching their game. Was that this morning? Yeah. And he's doing very, very well against Spurs. Obviously they won. So Ange ball. Stick that in your kangaroo pouch, mate. So, Jules, welcome, my friend. Good to see you. As always, we were just chatting on transfer news, talking a little bit about David Friteze at Inter and United have been linked. So, for anyone who does watch a little bit more Serie A, let me know if Friteze gets the stamp of approval. Does he pass your criteria? Is he? I like the age. I like the experience. I like the profile. Is he enough though for what we need? Let me know. So, moving on. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't yet. We're just trying to go through some transfer news, keeping with the pattern that we've seen since Ineos have come in regarding scouting some top young players, the teenagers from South American markets and whatnot, Norwegian markets, Belgian, this, that. There are reports that United have been keeping tabs on 17-year-old Porto attacking midfielder Rodrigo Mora. So you remember we discussed that, I think it was earlier this past week, that United had scouts in attendance for Porto's match against Boa Vista. In particular, they were looking at striker Samu, was the reporting, Amora Dion. So now Caught Offside is claiming that United were also monitoring Rodrigo Mora in that match, where he had a goal and an assist playing in that number 10 position in that match. He was man of the match the week prior as well. Again, 17 years old. He also had a goal and assist that match. So 2 matches in a row with goal and assist for this young kid. He's got 3 goals, 3 assists in just 7 Liga Portugal appearances. I think he's only had like 2 starts. This is his first real season. Obviously, he's only 17. He's already featured in the team of the week once. Looks like a bright young player. It's so difficult when it comes to these players, right? Again, we've talked about it many times, especially the young players. Do you trust your gut? Do you trust your scouts? Do you trust what you see as far as the analysis, the data is concerned, and you make a move now, or do you risk waiting too long and then you get like a João Neves or an Enzo Fernandez situation where, because it's coming from the Portuguese league, you're going to get bent over for the tune of like 80 to 100 mil. He does have a release clause inserted into his contract. It's around £55 million, but it's not clear whether Porto would be open to letting him leave for less than that, according to the outlets. He can play as that second striker, or he can play as that number 10. I think he would really do well in the system that we play in. Very, very technical for his age, like generational in terms of technical skill is concerned. Got very, very good decision making, very good reading of the game. I like what I've seen so far of this kid. Box would not go for Friteze. Okay, does not get Box's seal of approval. Do we have any opposing views? Robert Nasaya, how are you? Osimhen swap deal is fake news. Stop it. We are here chatting about the rumors regardless to see what you all think. These are the transfer shows now. We're going to be doing these a little more frequently during the window just to get everyone's thoughts on some of the links, some of the United rumors. So if it's fake, we will find out about it. But there are a lot of rumors going around regarding Napoli, Galatasaray, AC Milan, Rashford, swaps, this and that. It is all popping off. But good to see you. Welcome to the channel, Robert. Lionhearts, I was having an interesting conversation with my brother today. He believes it would be good for United to get relegated, force a hard reset, and start from scratch. What do you and the community think? What do you guys think? Would it be good for United to get relegated? Do you think that would mean a reset? I think it could mean a reset. Whether or not it does is anyone's guess. We can speculate and say it would, but we don't know. I don't think financially the club would be able to handle that. Given the debt, given the PSR stuff, given the loss of probably some of these players, if you do get relegated as well, I think that would be financially really, really difficult to get back from. And I don't think that would work. We've got stadium stuff coming up. We've got all these sponsors that we would definitely probably lose if we got relegated as well. So I think that it's easy to think that maybe that would be enough to get the Glazers out, and who knows, it could be. But I think that financially, I think it would almost cripple the club personally. But you guys could disagree. Jewel, and like Jewel says, relegation disaster. We could go under. We could very, very easily go under if we get relegated. I think that this is the hard part, right? This is where, again, we spoke about earlier regarding that James Ducker article in the Telegraph. We all hate the Glazers, right? We don't. Like I've pointed out the book many, many times. Go read it. It's a good book. We have to sometimes, even as fans, we have to sometimes try to see past that hatred, that past 20 years. We have to try to to move past that and look a little bit further. And yes, it would be great in the immediacy. Maybe that can mean they leave, but the long-term impact of that, I don't know if there's any way to come back from that personally. I'm not a financial expert. Maybe we can try to get Kieran Maguire on the channel sometimes. I doubt it, but I don't know if we were to cover that because we're not, yeah. The parachute payments would be a drop in the ocean as far as what financial help that would be for us. Box says, yeah, Box agrees. It could be another Leeds, but worse. It could be a Bury. It could be a lot of things. I'm not sure how I feel about that personally. Jules says, we're not breaking even in the Prem, let alone the Championship. Yeah, and the Prem is where the money is. This is why teams who get promoted and then avoid relegation next year, they are set for a while, because this is why they often come right back up, because the money is very good. Even if you finish 17th in the Premier League, it's very, very good money. You're going to get more from finishing like 7th or 8th in the Premier League than you will from winning the Champions League. It's just the way it is. Premier League gets a lot of money. Teresa said, perhaps a plot to get the expensive players to make a move on their own so that they're not associated with a relegation. Just thought. Sometimes, like we've spoken about on the channel, sometimes players do have relegation clauses inserted into their contracts. Like I use Xherdan Shaqiri at Stoke as an example. He had a relegation clause in his contract at Stoke. I don't know how many, if any, players at United have such clauses in their contracts. I doubt it's ever come across anyone's mind before in Manchester United, because this isn't 79 anymore. But who knows what could happen, right? I mean, it's been a crazy season. It's been a crazy couple of years. There's been a lot. It's been a circus. It's been a circus with ringleaders. But let me know if you guys watch enough Porto, enough Portuguese football, if Rodrigo Moura gets your seal of approval. Just watching him a little bit, some of his numbers, some of the how highly rated he is, and just, again, 17 years old, has had back-to-back matches with a goal and assist, team of the week already. The guy is doing very, very well. I like what I see. Is he better than Nipan, Danny? Let me know. So we got a little bit of news regarding Alejandro Garnacho today. I want you guys' thoughts on Garnacho. So I love him, but he's a bit of a tool. Who's a bit of a tool? Let me know. So according to Chris Wheeler with the Daily Mail, Alejandro Garnacho was dropped for the Manchester Derby last month because apparently he appeared to turn his back on Ruben Amorim and walk away while United boss was giving him instructions on the touchline against Victoria Pilsen in the Europa League. So apparently, Chris Wheeler claims Amorim was trying to talk to him, trying to give him instructions, and Alejandro kind of walked away. I don't know if I buy that necessarily. Representatives for Garnacho deny that he was being disrespectful and put it down to a misunderstanding. So walked away, but it seems like misunderstanding. You guys let me know. I don't remember that match. I don't remember the incident in question personally. I think that a lot is often made out of these situations. Like, how many times have we seen the media turn, like, trying to spotlight and really make something out of nothing for, like, Højlund and Ahmad going in on each other, or Højlund going in on Dalot last season. Like, that is probably the most common thing you're going to see on the football pitch. I don't know why the press all of a sudden loves making it a big deal when it's United. I really don't get it. But this is United. This is what we're going to get. You said your brother's a tool. Oh, no. You're funny, Lionhearts. Jules says, imagine getting relegated and winning the Europa League, a year in the Championship and the Champions League. I mean, I remember asking people about that back when Chelsea were struggling under Mourinho. They were down in like 14th, 15th or whatever. It was a very similar situation to where we were in, but they were doing semi-decent in the Champions League. What if you get relegated? When it's so weird the way football works, right? I try to explain the way the different leagues. This is why I tell people, I have a lot of friends, family, everybody. They know that I'm big into football, right? But they also know, because I've warned them here and there, don't ask too many questions, because we'll literally be here for a week. And so trying to explain to them how a club can play in all these different leagues at the same time and all these different tournaments and everything, they're just like, they can't fathom it, because here it's like NFL, boom, that's it. It's just interesting. Jules says, I've seen this a number of times across many managers. It happens all the time, and it irks me. It irks you that it's reported on, or it irks you that it happens? It happens because people happen. I mean, people are always going to have misunderstandings. They're going to disagree. They're going to go in on each other. You're in a high pressure situation. It's very stressful. Players think one thing, manager thinks another. it's going to happen. Whether it was a misunderstanding, like apparently the report says, or if it's just Garnacho being a 20-year-old, I don't know. But it's so funny, the kind of stuff that you live in a fishbowl. You live in a fishbowl made of a magnifying glass at United. It's insane. But one thing we can say about Garnacho is we need to see him do a little bit more. We need to see him maybe stay off social media. We need to see him find a way to make some better decisions in this different position that he's being asked to play in. He's giving away a ball a little too much right now for my liking. He's holding on to it too long, whether that's a confidence thing, whether that's a selfish thing, whether it's just a lack of footballing IQ thing is anyone's guess. But he's young. He has time. He has opportunity. It's all in Garnacho. So hopefully it wasn't a big deal. But if he was dropped, then maybe there was a situation. Maybe, we just work it out. But it seems like Amorim is really putting down the hammer in terms of the discipline of the standards. It's interesting that nobody seemed to call him a bully, like they did to Ten Hag. Remember, Ten Hag had standards as well. I think that Ten Hag's biggest downfall in terms of the optics was he just wasn't a great communicator. He just had a very dry, kind of almost boring personality. And I think that was just it. There was no charisma there. And it's not a personal thing. Like, I don't try to fault anyone for that. That's just his personality. It just is what it is. But I didn't think maybe it translated well, but who knows? On Rodrigo Mora, Danny says, not sure. I haven't seen enough of him, but I know Nipan probably better and for a quarter of the price. Yeah, I do. I'm hoping that maybe next week we can see some Nipan news, man, because that was a free hit for super cheap. I don't know. I've seen some Benfica links with Nipan as well. I really hope that doesn't work, but I don't know if there's such a pathway there, because I think Shelderup joined Benfica recently. Now he's back on loan again, I want to say, but I don't remember off the top of my head. Or maybe if you guys remember Andreas Shelderup, probably not. Jules says, irks me that it happens. If someone talks to me, I listen, but it seems commonplace across football. It is what it is. I mean, it does happen. We've seen it years and years and years. I mean, whether you're Roy Keane yelling at Sir Alex, whether you're Ronaldo walking off with Ten Hag, and maybe Garnacho walking away from Amorim, maybe he just didn't know Amorim still had more to say. I don't know. I really don't. It is a bummer that the misunderstandings do happen, that these situations do happen. But I think that the most common thing you're going to get with human beings is they're going to make mistakes. They're going to have misunderstandings. This is what it is. Hopefully that's just it. It seems like it's been squashed. He's getting back in the team now. So players constantly do it to refs, and I find it so undermining. I mean, I think we all have something to say to the refs, but no, I do get where you're coming from. I think it's just, and this is where the mentality thing is so important. Like, how do you as a player, and I don't expect a lot from a 20-year-old, right? But as a player, as a human being in those situations, how do you respond to the one-on-one that you're having amidst all the noise, all the pressure, all the stress, especially if you've been playing already in the match and you're not having a good match, if you're down a couple goals, like all that is factoring into the way you're interacting in the moment. All that is bleeding into that interaction. Some people handle it really well, some people don't. So hopefully, the mentality is something like we talked about the other day with Dylan, the New Year's resolutions video. Go ahead and check that one out if you haven't yet. Hopefully we start instilling that a little bit. We target players who have a little bit more of that mentality that we're looking for. Lionheart says, didn't something like that happen in English team before, Jules? I got this weird memory of this. It rings a bell, like Quasimodo. Sorry, that was a grandpa joke. That wasn't even a dad joke. That was a grandpa joke. My grandpa used to tell that joke to me all the time. Said, I don't know the Hunchback's name, but Quasimodo rings a bell. And I never understood it when I was little. Once I started understanding it, I laughed for a long time because it was so dorky, but it is what it is. Box says, Garnacho, confidence on the pitch in front of goal has plummeted. And this is going to say a lot, Box, about where he is right now, and maybe even set a trajectory for where he could be as a professional. How are you going to respond to this when you're in a bad run of form? Because we know that the one consistent thing you're going to get from the youngsters is inconsistency. How do you respond to it? How do you push yourself through it? Where are his teammates? Where are the leaders on the pitch and in the dressing room to come and kind of push with him and push him through that? A lot of it's on him. A lot of it's on the manager. A lot of it's on his teammates. But when all that stuff is not in a great place right now at United, it's not a great environment for that. And we'll see. It's unfortunate. There's a lot of just unfortunate stuff all happening at once right now. Jules says Ten Hag was Dutch, and they can come across as very abrupt. Yeah, I find that they're very literal. apparently Ten Hag is a pretty funny guy, according to some journalists who've interviewed him. But just watching some of his pressers, he's very boom, straight to the point, almost concise. I remember Louis van Gaal had a little bit more charisma. I think that he got to that point because he'd done so much in the game. But I don't know if it's a Dutch thing. I don't know too many Dutch people. I've spoken with some players in the PFA course. They don't seem, they're quiet, but they don't seem like abrupt. Lionheart says it was Wigan won the FA Cup and got relegated. Yikes. Keeping in mind they get the Europa win with the FA Cup. Sanjay, good to see you, my friend. How are you doing? And Sanjay says he is Dutch as well. Well, bully for you, my friend. Good to see you then. Welcome back. Jules says, Ten Hag seemed very relaxed in some of the informal interviews I watched. It looks like a nice bloke. Yeah. And again, just like coming to United as a player, how that's a step up. Coming to United as a manager has got to be a bit of a wake-up call. I'm sure for guys like Mourinho or Louis van Gaal, it wasn't that big a deal. But even Amorim has said, like in one of his first interviews, like the amount of interviews that you give is like astonishing to him. And I don't know what it is now. We've got like this. He's giving like extra interviews. He's giving like his pressers and whatnot. But now he's also talking to Sky Sports all the time. And I'm like, just leave the dude alone. He's barely getting time to train with his squad, and now he's got to give these interviews like every single day. It's annoying. But you guys let me know. I'm going to throw in a little mini scout report before we wrap up today because I haven't done one of those in a while. I've got a bucket load of players to go through, most of whom have been recommended by Danny B, including this guy. So get your thoughts in on some of the transfer news we talked about. Garnacho, are you worried about him? Could you see him leaving? Would you sell him? Would you keep him? Does he fit in the squad? I'm still finding hard, difficult to see where he fits. So could be more profit, but I'm going to move on to a mini scout report to close things out on a little bit of a fun note. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you haven't yet. This is Juan Jimenez, everybody. Say hello to Juan Jimenez. 18-year-old center back, plays for Rosario Central. Really physical player, really quick player, but he's got such a good head on his shoulders, and he reads the game and he plays the game so well in his head, and that's where the game is played, really. He knows it's one thing to tackle, it's one thing to make interceptions, and it's one thing to know when to step up, when to sit back, but that says a lot about your footballing IQ. And what this kid has, even at a young age, is footballing IQ. He's got 1 goal, 1 assist this season. Very, very, very highly rated in the league. Again, physical, not afraid to get stuck in. Reads the game very, very well. Very good at building out from the back. Very comfortable on the ball. Not afraid to step up, create space for himself. He's really good at reading the passes. He's got a good passing range. What I like about him is he's very, very good at discerning when to step up and make a challenge, when to step up and intercept, when to step up and stick a toe in, and when to be patient and let the game come to him in that moment. And that's very rare for a teenager to do. You see that, like, how often do you see that from a teenager, especially from a defender? It's not very common. We saw a little bit of that of Lenny Yoro at Lille last year. It's very similar. It just kind of knows. You see it with guys like Antonio Silva at Benfica, Gonçalo Inácio at Sporting. When you're a young player and the discernment, the decision-making, the reading of the game, the footballing IQ is already there, you're like way ahead of the curve. And I really like what I see with this guy. I like to see his passing game improve a little bit. It's not as great as I would like, but he does show that he's got a good passing game. Top 2% for take-ons, so he's good at creating space for himself, kind of like Licha when Licha's on having a good day, right? Good at creating space for himself, beating a man, and getting forward a little bit. But the defensive numbers are where you're really going to see him shine. Top 5% for tackles. Very good at tackling. Very physical. Again, he's a big guy. Top 15% for interceptions. Again, you make interceptions when you can read the game, when you can anticipate where the play is happening around you. That's what helps you make interceptions. When you see players who have really good interception numbers, that's because they're good at reading the game. And he's also really good at anticipating and getting back to help out. He's in the top 10% for blocks per 90. So as far as young center backs is concerned, he's right up there with some of the best you're going to see right now. And like Danny says, under 17 captain in the World Cup last year for his country. So I'm gonna get this off the screen so I can see you guys a little bit. Again, Danny is the South American scout on the channel. He sends me a lot of names, and I'm very, very happy to always be turned on to new players, especially from the South American leagues and whatnot. So keep one eye out. So he's in the off season right now, Jimenez. So he's available for clubs that are interested. I think they finished their last match a couple weeks ago. He's been linked with Fiorentina, but United have also reportedly been scouting him extensively this year, very, very recently as well. So we could potentially be looking at. We know that we were linked with a couple of young defenders in the summer, guys like Anselmino and whatnot. Sounds like we're keeping with the trend again, like the Rodrigo Mora, like the Nipans, Mastantuanos, these young players. We've already brought in some as well. Diego Leon is going to be doing his medical soon, from what I've read. Overy we brought from Australia last year as well. We're building for the future. Obi Martin, Kakonki, all these guys. If we could once we complete this list of these 17-year-olds that we're looking at, you could put together a strong like match day squad for like the next decade. If you look at these players, it's insane. But you guys let me know if you guys have been watching any of the league. Let me know too in the chat while some of you have those memberships active, because again, check out the perks. The scouting reports do take a lot of time, so I'd like to try to make it worth everyone's while. So check out the perks on the channel to learn a little bit more about how you can get involved. Please like the video if you haven't yet. Subscribe to the channel. That is going to do it for the transfer news tonight and just the United related news. Like I said, we'll try to do these a little more regularly. As you can see, we've been here a minute. If I added this onto a match reaction, we'd be here all night. So, and then Rajat, welcome back, man. It's been a minute, Rajat. He says, get Brahim Diaz. How many number 10s do Real Madrid have right now? I know Bellingham had a really good match yesterday as well, but don't Real Madrid have? I liked Brahim Diaz. And he's probably better than who he have, but is it someone, he's what, 25, 26 now, Brahim Diaz? Lionheart says, would more Wonder Kids not jeopardize the pool we already have? I mean, if anything, Lionhearts, you want the pool of the talent to be as big as possible. If you want it to be as big as possible, that gives you the best odds of getting the best talent. If you leave your sample size too small, you're not going to set yourself up with the best, because you're choosing just from that small sample size. You want a bigger sample size to choose from. And again, it's one of those things what we've talked about a couple times. Not all these players are going to make it, but it's better to have a lot to choose from. Give them a shot, and if they make it, then we improve. If they don't make it, then like your Zidane Iqbals, like your Tahith Chongs, your Mengis, they will go on to sell and will make profit. And that's really a big part of it. I don't like looking at it only from the financial perspective, but unfortunately we are in a situation where we have to. But it's worthwhile now to spend a little bit now, a couple million here and there, bring them in, see who sticks and who's not. If you're good enough, you're old enough, not all of them are going to stick around. It is what it is. But I do get where the concern lies. I think that is a valid concern. I think to put yourself in the best position to have a lot of good young players, you want to get a lot of good young players and then go from there. Rob Taft says, Forson scored 2 goals in injury time for Norwich. I think we let him go on a free. Hopefully that doesn't happen again with the youngsters. Do we have a sell-on for Amari Forson? Someone let me know. I can't remember off the top of my head. We've had, trying to keep up with the added clauses we put in on all these youngsters we've let go in the last couple of years is a whole, that's like a whole master's program in itself, keeping up with all that. Rush Mano, welcome to the channel. Good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. Always a pleasure to see some new faces, you guys. We are just wrapping up here. Just getting a couple super chats or couple chats in before I go. Buck says, I want to see Amorim use some of the youths, not like how Mainu and Garnacho were flogged 90 minutes every game, but give them cameos and starts for freshness, experience. Yeah, and we said that to round out the New Year's resolutions the other day with Dylan. I remember I said one of the resolutions I'd like to see is integrate the youth. And like you're saying, Box, and like Danny and a couple of us, and like I've been saying, Garnacho, Mainu, they've probably been overplayed considering how old they are. They haven't really had enough quality in competition. It's unfortunate that at 19 years old, Garnacho was being played so much when we did have someone like Anthony or even Sancho or something, but it says more about the state of the club and the state of the squad than anything that we're relying on these, that Mainu was playing so much. But it also says a lot about these players that they did have such a positive impact last season as well. And so I agree. I don't want them to be burnt out. I don't want to play them 90 minutes every single game. It's just the state of the squad we're in right now, unfortunately. But yeah, I would like to see some more youth integrated. Collier was in the matchday squad the other day. Kukonki in the matchday squad. I think there are some players in the academy, your Fletchers, your Montantos, your Ennis, your Obi Martins, even your Gores, all these players who could start to make. Again, we didn't put ourselves in the best situation to try to take advantage of that either. We should have been qualified for the next round of Europa League by now. We could have rotated a little bit. Had we had some more favorable draws in the domestic cups, maybe we could have seen more of that. But unfortunately, we can't get Barnsley every week, so it is what it is. No offense to Barnsley, I'm just saying, like, we've had a tough draw this year when it comes to the FA Cup and the League Cup. So it's unfortunate. It just depends on what you want to prioritize. But again, the hard part too is, for every person who says play the youth, there's also that person who says you're going to ruin them if you play them in these kind of matches and they don't do well or we lose. There's always this dichotomy going on of play them too early, not playing them enough. It's just hard. It just depends on where you fall, and honestly, it's going to depend on where Amorim falls. We've seen him at the academy matches. One of the matches I watched a couple of weeks ago, he was there with Wilcox and Darren Fletcher, and so we know that he values that. Nuno Mendes, who we've been linked with at PSG, Amorim is the one who gave Nuno Mendes his debut as a teenager at Sporting. So we know that he likes playing the youth. He works with a lot of young players at Sporting, especially their defenders. So I don't think we're not going to see it. I don't think we're going to be disappointed. It's just a matter of not all these things can happen at once, unfortunately. And so Amorim's got to get a couple of days of training. So again, this week was the first week he's really had some training. And then we can start building on that, I think. Jules, I think Forsen plays in Italy. Is that what's going on? Why not get VG? Who's VG? Let me know. And it is Rush's first time to the channel. Everybody give Rush a big welcome. Appreciate that. Actually, you know what, Rush? You know what we're going to do, my pal? We're going to do one of these for you, pal. Welcome to for you. Raja says, no, he didn't leave England. Yeah, I can't say that I've kept up with every single youngster that we've let go, because that would just be a lot. I think Iqbal went to like Utrecht or something. Mengi, Chong are at Luton, obviously. But other than that, it's hard. I don't know where Yanazai is playing these days. I think Brandon Williams is still a free agent. I don't know off the top of my head, though. Lionhearts, wouldn't mind one of the Fletchers. We could do with Fletcher. Dude, the Fletchers are amazing. When I watch them play, like they just run the show. But Ennis is one of the better players I've seen in the academy. And obviously, Obi Martin's doing dirty out there. We just got Thwaite signed to his first professional deal as well. Roger says maybe Amorim needs to adapt his plan. What do you mean, tactics, formation? I think we gotta weather the storm. In my opinion, I think we have to keep going. The plan that the tactics are kind of highlighting who's going to fit, who's not going to fit. And I think that, for a long time, I think what we've been saying about some of these players is starting to get noticed a little bit. I think that with time and with some training, remember, he didn't have a preseason. He hasn't really had time to train, and he kind of came into a bit of a shit show, Ruben Amorim, with where we're at right now. Morale is pretty low. Results weren't going. I mean, you don't sack a manager mid-season if you're doing well, right? So, Danny, I appreciate the love, my friend. You guys make the channel. I'm just here to throw out the news and get you guys' thoughts. This is your channel, your opinion, as always. I'm just happy to be here doing it. I love meeting all you guys and getting to know everybody. Jack Fletcher could be a shout box. I think we will see. I'd like to see some more of the youth integrated. I think that not only would it help us see maybe who's ready, or maybe who's ready for loan, but I think it could give some of these first-team players that have not been cutting it a little kick up the ass, because some of them are just not doing it for me, and they need to fix up, or they need to fuck off. Roger says, keep playing that sort of football, and Man United get 15th. I think the only tweak I would like to see in the system, and to me, it's not a system thing, it's more of a player thing. When we're building out from the back, we need to move the ball a little faster. Too many teams are setting up in a high press. Too many teams are setting up with that front four to press. I think we need to just move the ball faster and get it forward a little faster. That's all the big change I'd like to see, other than some different players. But we have to move the ball just a little quicker. And that's more down to the players. Some of them are just not good enough on the ball. Like Dallo shits himself. Ahmad gets the ball, or Mizraoui would get the ball and get it up on the touchline. and then they will pass it backwards. So we need to move the ball. You guys are great. Lionhearts, I love it, man. Appreciate the love. As always, you guys make the channel. This is why I love it. Close that screen. Box. Who has the bigger ceiling or potential to be a first teamer out of Lacey, Ibrahimov, or Bian Sherry? See, 3 names I didn't even mention that I forgot about. This is how stacked we are. I'm really, really excited about Bian Sherry, to be honest with you. He and Ibrahimov probably, out of those 3, probably be my picks to get some minutes soon. But Bian Sherry, he's still so young and he's very, very good. But good shouts, Box. This is how good the academy is right now. It's how stacked we are. There's so many players. Rajat wants Frimpong and move Mizraoui to right CB. So where are you putting Ahmad then, Rajat? Let me know. Danny B says, we need something different. Someone plays with heart. We need just players who are going to play. I mean, players who aren't going to give up if they make a mistake. If they lose the ball in the final third, they're not going to sit on their ass and throw a fit about it like Garnacho's doing. They're going to put in a challenge when Ross Barkley and Luton Town are dribbling through the midfield and not just let them walk right by like Rashford's doing. We need better players than that. Rush says the Ibrahimov brothers are excellent too, being fast-tracked. I like the academy a lot. The academy is probably the best I've seen it in, almost 40 years now. Danny says, Zirkzee was excellent again today. I think he might be my first choice signing on the left in the summer. I think, honestly, the more I watch, I think Zirkzee is one of those players who's, again, last year still young, this year still young. In the Euros, he really got a good platform. I really like the way he looked in the Euros. Obviously, Hungary didn't do that well, but he's stepped it up this year a lot, Zirkzee, and that's really, really impressive for me. He's been one of Bournemouth's better players. I think that he shows that he will bust a gut. He will put a shift in. He will get up and down that pitch. And I think that his ceiling is so high. I think that since the left side is such a priority for us, I think that if we're going to go for someone like Zirkzee, that maybe needs to be the priority, and then get your midfielder and another striker, and then get a little creative in other areas. But yeah, Zirkzee, I really like what I see. Danny says, Biancheri, Ibrahimov, Lacey falling behind over injury. Yeah, Lacey had that injury for a little while, but he's been coming back, I think. And like you said, good point. What are you guys saying here? Box says Kai Rooney in the under 16. Yeah, I know he's getting a lot of numbers, isn't he, Kai? Doesn't he have like some crazy numbers at his level? Somebody let me know. I haven't been watching the under 16s. I will be at the FA Youth Cup match in a couple weeks while I'm over there. So hopefully, I don't know the rules when it comes to like recording and stuff, but I'll definitely be trying to do some vlogs and some quick little match reactions and maybe just some little walking around footage while Justin and I are over there. But keep an eye out for that. Rajat wants Nuno Mendes. It's going to be Mendes versus Zirkzee. Maybe that's a video. But should that be something I do? Maybe in one of the next videos, a Zirkzee versus Nuno Mendes kind of comparison, and let you guys kind of see who comes out on top there. Box says, yep, like the look of Zirkzee. Yeah, sounds like Zirkzee is getting a lot of people's seal of approval. And that mullet, bro, that mullet is just working. I didn't think it would, but some people can pull it off, some people can. But Zirkzee rocks it, doesn't he? Rush, man. Bournemouth, they're close to signing a new left back, Argentine player. Who is that? Let me know, Rush. Roger says, can Gore make the main man? Gore was in line. Remember, in not this preseason, but the last preseason, Gore was part of the preseason squad, right? Ten Hag was really looking for him. He played, and they got injured. And so I think that probably set him back a little bit. So, Rob says, Biancheri is one to watch. Looks a talented attacker. Yeah, so if you remember, I did that video a couple weeks ago on how do we replace Marcus Rashford. And 2 of those options were players we already had in the academy, in Obi Martin and Biancheri. I think Biancheri could come in and be very, very good behind the striker. I'm not trying to typecast him because he's a smaller guy. I think, though, that he is very good at making late runs. He's very good at playing advanced balls to a striker as well. I think he's very good in that link-up capacity. I think Biancheri could be a very good outlet in that one of those number 10 roles. Julio Soler. Lanny wants to know Valentin. Valentin Barco. He's at Brighton, but he's on loan, right? Brighton got him from Boca. We didn't really see a whole lot of him, which was kind of a bummer because I really liked Barco when he was at Boca, but I haven't really seen much of him since he left. I think he's returning from loan. Yeah, I think he's doing that. So, and Brighton just got another left back, dude. They signed what's his face, the Turkish dude. Names escape me off the top of my head. The one I wanted that we didn't get. Brighton just signed another rated South American talent, Diego Gomez. But yeah, Brighton are very, very, very good at talent identification and recruitment, and so we should just be signing their department, their scouting department. Might have been Brighton got him from Boca. Yeah, Brighton got him from Boca. Uh-oh. Danny, he's breaking your heart out here, man. Julio Soler. I remember we looked at him a little while ago, didn't we? Lionheart says, I worry about the attention Kai is getting. The same with JJ10. I mean, who gave Gabriel the nickname? I hope they just keeps their feet on the ground. I think Kai's getting the attention because of his dad, obviously. And it helps when you're good, too. It helps when your dad is Wayne Rooney and you're clearly inherited a lot and you have him basically coaching you on a regular basis. That does help. And he says, Farias is another good South American kid. Inter Miami have... Oh, is that the, like the young... He's not young, but I remember Facundo. His name Facundo Farias. Is that who that is? Like, he's like a young attacker, kind of like a 10/striker. He came from the Argentine league. I can't remember now off the top of my head. Rush says Cunha is close to signing a new deal at Wolves. Well, Cunha was going to be expensive. The Wolves players are all going to be dependent on whether or not Wolves get relegated or not. And I think that it looks like maybe the new manager Mount might be enough to keep them out of the relegation zone. But we'll see. Never say never. Rude Van Nistelrooy better hope that Leicester start turning things around, though, because they are struggling. Then he says, Bournemouth know their shit. I piss better than Poole getting him. Yeah. We don't want Liverpool to get anybody. Liverpool don't need any help right now either, do they? Just hope Wayne isn't managing it. I think a lot of people... I don't know if I would let Wayne Rooney manage a Starbucks at this point because he is not having a good time of it. It'll click for Wayne at some point. He will find that perfect club that's going to just be a good fit, right club at the right time. It's just, it hasn't clicked so far. And honestly, at the end of the day, it might just be maybe he's just not cut out for management. Not everybody is. There's no rule that says because you're a good player, you're going to be a good manager. There's no numbers that necessarily back that up either. If you read Soccernomics, there's like a whole chapter on that in there. It's not a guarantee. So Redondo. Yeah, Redondo. I remember the guy that we were linked with for a little while. Yep. Rush says Rude better take some of our dross. I've read that Rude might be interested in bringing Amas and Collier on loan, which I think, quite frankly, Collier's I'm still a little iffy on, but quite frankly, it could be a good move for both of them. Just let them go and let them play. The pressure's not there, you know. Ajabi's 21. Welcome to the channel. Good to see a new face. Cunha will have a release clause or some sort of agreement to allow him to leave if Wolves get a good offer. Yeah, we saw how that went down with Osimhen, though, didn't we? I like Cunha. I think, obviously, he was pretty much the best player on the pitch by a mile when we played Wolves the other week. I liked him when he was at Atletico. I know Danny B loves him. He fits the system that we play because, obviously, Wolves play a very similar system. He plays the position that we need. And he's got energy. He just gives a shit. Really, that's my standard right now is players who, on the pitch, just give a shit. Run. Put in a shift. Win your duels. That was one of my New Year's resolutions in that video. Win your individual battles. We lose too many ground duels, aerial duels, second balls, defending corners, all that stuff. We're not in it mentally 100%, and it's frustrating. Ugh. Rush says, how long have you supported United, bud? Very long time. This right here is actually my very first jersey that I got when I was just a youngin'. My dad gave it to me. So I framed it. It replaced the Giggsy jersey that I had. The Giggsy jersey's up here now, but it fell the other day when I bumped into it and got a crack. So I replaced it with this one. But this is for a very long time. I played when I was younger. I still play now, but I'm old now, so I don't play as much as I probably would. But it's easily been, I'm 39 now, so it's easily been more than 30 years. About 30 years for me, but that's just because I'm old. So But obviously, it's hard to follow them growing up until about the late 2000s when satellites and DirecTV and all that stuff, and then obviously streaming didn't really start till maybe not even a decade ago. So it's much easier to follow United than it was when I was younger. I was getting like the box sets and stuff when I was young and watching all that stuff. Um, so, but how long have you supported United, Rush? Good to see you, my friend. I think we're gonna cut it off there, guys, because this video ended up being much longer than I thought it was gonna be. I have no problem with that though. Liner says, "Holy shiz! I didn't even notice you had a change around." I've got jerseys all over this room. I ran out of wall space. And that's not a brag. It's not a flex. This is just the sad state of my finances is that I choose to buy these things. But I do love the club. I got a lot of United stuff behind me and everything. I've got a piece of the old pitch back here behind me in a little resin cube. I've got 92 jerseys. I actually got a copy of the MEN when Rooney broke his record, and I have that front page framed over there as well. So things like that, the things we choose to spend our money on. But I appreciate everyone stopping by tonight, and I appreciate everybody getting involved. Let me know your thoughts if you weren't able to catch the live. Leave the comments. I will respond to all of them because I do value everyone's opinion. I want to make sure everyone gets heard. Till next time, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you are new and you like getting your voice heard, you like getting involved. That's what we're here for. Hit the bell if you want to make sure you don't miss anything. I will be back maybe tomorrow night with a match reaction to the Liverpool match, if it still goes on tomorrow. But Rush, thank you for that, man. I appreciate all support. Really, you guys are what make it, but I am glad to just be a part of it. So thank you for checking out the channel. Always great to have a welcome new face to the stream. So I will leave it there. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone. Take it easy. Stay warm if it's cold where you are, and see you tomorrow. Hopefully with 3 points. That's for Lionheart and for Slash because they're pushing the 2-1. So we will see what happens. Take it easy, guys. Thank you again. Later.